I know y'all are all
you
here
taping?
because
Yeah, I'm taping.
you know who I am, but I'm going to tell you who I'm anyway. I'll give you the Reader's Digest version. I was named Brenda Lee Gillian after my daddy, and it all started out bad because he was in the Navy in North Fort, Virginia, and I was born, and he had to hitchhike all the way back to the hospital when I was born, and when he walked in the room and found out that it was a girl, he fainted. And the rest is history. And then I started growing up, and I had parents that loved me, and I had 2 sisters. I was the middle child, and my other sister, Sherry Lynn, she was 2 years older. My little sister was 2 years younger, and Sherry Lynn never did anything wrong. I got caught at everything I did wrong, and my little sister just lied her way through everything she did wrong and never got in trouble. So then we grew up in Memphis, Tennessee, and my daddy, I don't know, Daddy's goal in life, oh shoot, was to make sure that all 3 of his daughters grew up to know Jesus Christ on a personal level. And he said, when you can look a man in the eye and profess that Jesus Christ is your personal Savior, then I can go to heaven peacefully and wait for you there. And that's exactly what happened. He got all 3 of us. Graduated from high school and had my first alcoholic beverage. The rest is history. And then I went to college. I had sex. And then I got pregnant. I got pregnant at 18, had a baby at 19, and was divorced at 20. I was a fast mover. And I had a little girl, Stacy. And I divorced her daddy before she was a year old, and she was mine. She was mine and God's creation. Oh, that was good. I miss her. But anyway, Stacy and I grew up together until she was about 9 years old. I married John Tuminello, the love of my life. I didn't know it then. I just needed a daddy for Stacy. And my mother and daddy prayed for me to meet a godly man that would love her and take care of me. And then they met Johnny. And they said, God, why have you forsaken us? Because poor Johnny, poor Johnny, he got roped in. I seduced him. Johnny got stuck with me and Stacy, and he went to First Baptist of Atlanta with Stacy and me, and he was a cameraman at First Baptist of Atlanta, and I just wore lots of makeup and sat on the front row so my mother would think I was going to church. But I don't think I learned very much at First Baptist of Atlanta, but Stacy did. And Stacy's my daughter. She died when she was 20 years old from a brain tumor. And right before she died, she was in Andy's youth group. We started building the church at North Point, and I was a voluntary receptionist. And it scared Andy to death because he never knew what I was going to say to somebody when they called. I was like, he's in the bathroom, you know, or, you know, he didn't come to work today. He's sleeping, fishing. He's out fishing. Started working at the phone company when I was 17. I started out as non-management, and I told Johnny, I was like, I want to be a manager. And he said, you can be a manager, honey, but you got to quit wearing your Kmart dresses, and you have to put on some makeup, go get your hairdo. I think he must have thought I had potential because I just was pretty plain and just pretty plain. And he must have seen the potential. So he said, every time you get paid, I want you to go buy a new suit, shoes, jewelry, get somebody to show you how to wear makeup and get your hair done. And then you start hanging out with the managers. Quit hanging out with the clerks. Well, I said, I think I can do all that, but I don't have any money. He said, I'll give you the money. And he just treated me like gold. And then he went and bought me a brand spanking new Cadillac. And I was like, I think I married the richest man in the world. And then he took me to Hawaii, and I'm like, that's my 2 dreams, to drive a Cadillac and go to Hawaii. So I was done with my dreams. And that was pretty simple. But that man knows how to love a woman. And I pray that every single woman in their lifetime can be loved like Johnny. I called my sister in Memphis, Susie, and she had her own sign business. And she was working from home, grossing over $100,000 a year, making signs at her house. And I'm like, well, I want to do that. So I told Johnny, I said, I think I'm going to resign from the phone company and start my own sign business. And he goes, well, don't you think we need to talk about it or think about it? And I was like, I already turned in my resignation. That was the next day. And he goes, honey, that's a lot of money that you're cutting out of our budget. And I'm like, we have a budget? Tennis was my life for 10 years. It was, I mean, continuously until cancer. And that just really pissed me off. I told Johnny, I said, now that I'm not working, I want to learn how to play tennis. And then I got passionate about tennis. I mean, obsessed with it. And I would have 3 2-hour lessons a week. One of the funniest stories was, I mean, I thought I was getting good, and I was still fairly new. And I had this coach. His name was Terry. And I made the mistake of coming to practice one morning, because we'd do it at the crack of dawn when it was cool. And I came out there with a hangover for tennis practice. And I made the mistake of telling him, oh my God, he almost killed me. I never drank again when I was going for a tennis lesson, because he kept saying, come on, get up, move, let's move to the ball. Don't wait for the ball to get to you. Come on, move, let's go. And I said, Terry, I think I'm fixing to throw up. And he said, we'll clean it up. Come on, move, get up. I said, I'm getting hot. And he said, I got a fan. Come on, move to the ball. Why are you waiting on the ball? He'd just yell at me, and I'm like, felt like I was in boot camp. But I got good. I got real good, and I never drank before class again. So I quit playing tennis when I hit menopause, but I kept all of my girlfriends. And these girls, since I was diagnosed with cancer, have kept me alive by reminding me of tennis stories and tennis trips. And one time I had to go on a tennis trip and I had laryngitis. Can you imagine? I heard more stuff from not being able to talk than I've ever heard in my entire life. We went to First Baptist Dunwoody Baptist Church, and that's where Johnny started building Sabrina Fair stages, and that's how they came up with maybe Johnny can build a church. He could build a set of stairs, and they said maybe he can build a church. And I'll never forget, Rick and Pam Holiday invited us over for dinner, and Rick got real serious, and he was like, John, we were just wondering if maybe you could help us figure out how to build this church. We got the land, but we don't know anybody that can build a church. And Johnny said, you think I can? We built the church, and I'll never forget walking in that big front door on Easter Sunday. We were out in the tent. Remember, we had our first service in a tent in the parking lot, and Andy said the building's secure enough for us to all go in and take a peek. And I was walking right beside him with my arm in his arm, and he said, Brenda, this place is huge. I said, I know, it needs to be huge. He said, what if nobody comes? And I said, you have built it, they will come. And he said he got chills when I said that. And then I might have been right for once in my life. It just looks like him, doesn't it? I just think it's so just...
Cutest boy ever. Oh my goodness.
I love him. I love him. The reason I'm doing this, I know everybody has a story. Everybody has a story. But not everybody has a happy ending. And mine started with my daddy and my cousin's mama and their mother. And she taught us who Jesus Christ was when we were children. And that was her dream and our parents' dream, that we would come to know Jesus Christ as our personal Savior. Because then they knew that we could get through everything. We could trust Him with everything. We knew where we were going. We knew that we will see you there if you choose to believe and trust and love and encourage other people to go with you. And that's why I'm here. I want you to go with me. I don't want to get up there and wonder where the hell you are. And take everybody you can get. And that's what I want you to go home and pray about, think about, dwell on, and trust God is going to get you right where you need to be. And that's where I am. Even though I still look like I look, I don't have the heavenly look yet. But it's coming. Makeup and all. And just come join me, but please trust in God. Nothing else. No viewpoints, no laws. Believe in the facts. And that's how you're going to get to where you want to be. This is the ultimate goal in all of our lives. And if you miss that goal, I'll miss you. So come on and join me. No rush. Surround yourself with people that love Jesus Christ more than they love themselves, and you'll be fine. I cannot wait to come bouncing in the pearly gates and Stacy going, Mom! Oh my God, I didn't think you made the cut. You must have done some changing down there. And then my daddy will just say, come here, Brian. I knew you'd be here all along.